I'm Kevin Theos, RSPA National Vice President, and I am joined today by Master Professional Bill Riddle. Bill, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thank you for having me on here, Kevin.
Bill Riddle is an internationally recognized tennis coach and media personality with over 35 years of experience in college, junior, and club coaching. A PTR International Master Professional and USPTA Master Professional, Bill Riddle is celebrated as a high performance tennis specialist and has earned numerous coaching and media awards. He currently serves as the men's and women's head tennis coach at the University of Tennessee Southern, amassing over 200 career wins and coaching multiple All American players. Beyond coaching, Bill Riddle has made significant contributions to tennis media, including hosting the award-winning Tennis Talk radio show and working as a TV commentator for major networks. He is a sought-after speaker at international coaching conferences and has led workshops and camps worldwide. His accolades include the USPTA Southern Professional of the Year and the PTR International Media Excellence Award. Bill Riddle is also a longtime brand ambassador for Head Pen and Adidas. Bill, you have presented for many years and worldwide at that. How did you get started presenting?
I owe it all to the USPTA speakers contest. Many years ago, there was this thing during the divisional conventions, and I said, I'd like to try to do something one day where I could maybe share some of my knowledge, and signed up for the speakers contest at one of the original conferences. I did a horrible job, and the judges, because everything with judges, kind of like Star Search meets the Masked Singer kind of a thing. And I just remember the judges kind of giving me kind of ripping me, but also giving me like this really good feedback of like how I could be a bit better at it, and just fell in love with it and said, you know what, I want to be better at this craft. And being from Nashville, and not being able to sing or dance or play an instrument, but still loving the entertainment side of things, I said, I'd like to try to do this. And I owe really everything to the speakers contest that USPTA had many years ago, because it put me on this path and helped me so much trying to just get started with it.
So you gave the presentation, I guess, at the you had the this competition, I guess.
Right,
And
right.
then like after that, what was your process initially and then going forward in figuring out topics that you could present on and then developing those topics?
It's interesting because everything I've ever done, whether it be on court, off court, presentations, it's really about what I feel passionate about. And I I saw a well-known um, former professional tennis player give a presentation one time, and this was at the Atlanta Super Show. This is dating me, but it goes way back. I think this would have been early '90s, and I watched this individual in this room. I think Tom Douglas actually maybe was involved with starting that actual workshop that they did. It was like a 1 or 2 day thing, and this one individual was doing this presentation, and it was kind of a setup of a half court in this room, and this individual who, amazing player, literally cleared the room of people because the content that they were giving, it was bad, it was just the delivery of it. And I remember that, just like it was yesterday, meaning it meant a lot to me, because I thought, it's all about the delivery. And if I want to do this one day, doesn't matter if I've won a grand slam or not, I have to be able to entertain people and keep them engaged and inform them. And yeah, so I just, that to me, that was one of the things that kind of taught me a big lesson. And also just being lucky enough to be in Nashville around a lot of entertainment people, and being around a lot of country music stuff, just listening and learning, and just kind of fell in love with that little piece of it. And hopefully, there's something that I've said over the years that maybe, sparks some people's interest or gives them a couple of little nuggets, or if worst case scenario, just puts a smile on their face and kind of entertains them a little bit.
All right, so presentation matters. And
Yep.
in terms of somebody thinking about how they can deliver a good have a good presentation, a solid presentation. I mean, is it the sort of thing that they have come up with they've got a topic, they have things that they want to say, and then they actually practice or something in front of the mirror? Like, what can they do to not come off in a way that or come off the best way that they can?
Well, I think for me, the things that I've learned is find a way to connect with your audience, whether it's two people or 10,000 in a arena. Finding a way to connect, and one of the things I was actually told, many years ago from one of my good friends, Emma Doyle. She said, make your titles very sexy, make it eye catching and something people want to listen to or be a part of. So, for me, it's just listening to other people, watching really, bad presentations, whether it be from tennis or pickleball or just life. I mean, watching good TED Talks, just kind of watching what other people do, being very observant, and then just practicing it, whether it be in front of one person or, 1,000.
You've been involved with many charity events through the years. How did you get started with charity events?
Really kind of lucky in that many many years ago, gosh, this would have been
Mhm.
in the 90s. A lady that I had known, a local tennis player, came to my club and asked me if I'd be interested in maybe being involved with what then was called the Music City Tennis Invitational. And I had done a few little things here and there, and a couple of little small things in my club, and then when I got involved with the people that were around this particular event, kind of just gave me an opportunity to see, you know, a different side of tennis, a different side of kind of the industry. And, I fell in love with that particular event and those people. And we actually, I guess, made it to 50 years of running that event here in Nashville, raised over $2 million. And I think for most people it comes down to, do you have the time and do you have the passion to either give up some time or give up those opportunities that you may have in other places to be involved with something. And I was lucky enough to be involved with a couple of events here in Nashville that were longstanding, great people, and great causes. And yeah, just I think finding some passion in the events with good people.
What have you found to be some best practices in running and promoting and operating charity events?
It's another really good question, because I think it's changed. The landscape has changed since COVID. We noticed a lot of people had less and less time or less and less money. Businesses changed the way they were giving. It is. I feel like charity events nowadays are completely different than they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. One, the tennis industry has changed, and our day to day as tennis coaches and professionals has changed, because we've got these other sports like pickleball and paddle that are pulling not only players but then also resources from companies like Adidas, Nike, Head, Wilson. They're pulling those resources in other directions. So I think nowadays you have to be incredibly resourceful. You have to literally live outside of the box as to how you're going to put your event together. What does it look like? And people's expectation nowadays are different, than it was 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Showing up playing with matches and a t-shirt, the expectation's a bit different now, in what people expect to get when they get there, and then also how we deliver it and how it's kind of perceived. And chopped up on social media.
So what has kept you motivated and prevented you from experiencing burnout?
Um, you know, that's one of those things I distinctly remember early on at my first club. I think back then, this was, late 80s, early 90s. Um, the coaches and the pros would get together, and I remember in Nashville we would get together like I think it was once a month on a Monday morning. We would meet over in Brentwood, and we'd all get together for lunch. And it wasn't about the education. It wasn't about anything. We just got together and hung out and talk shop and maybe kind of complained to each other a little bit or whatever. Um, and we just kind of shared. And I think that connection right there helped me. And then also listening to all the kind of the complaining and moaning and whatnot from the guys and the gals made me realize that majority of the people that were complaining about their job or their club, they did one thing. They went to the same club for 25 or 30 years. They taught the same people over and over. And I thought, I don't want to be that guy in 30 or 40 years that is bitter. So I'm purposely not going to go that direct route and just be a club pro. And I'm not knocking it, but I felt like there was a connection there to the moaning and groaning. And I said, I'm going to spend my time trying to be as diverse as I can. Um, and that's kind of the direction I went, just trying to, and some people would say, like, you got your hands in too many things. And for me, it was just, trying to not find a way to be burned out, and, keep learning, keep, kind of reinventing and staying in the loop of things. Um, and hopefully, I think it worked. I still love tennis, and I tell people all the time, if I win the Mega Millions jackpot, for $1 billion, I'm still going to be at the club or the courts the next day. I'm just going to be doing it for free because I couldn't see myself doing anything else, um, ever really, because I'm very really lucky. I love what I do.
We all
Yeah,
know pros who are somewhat maybe isolated or they choose not to get together with other pros. Maybe there are
yeah.
some pros they don't like or they just don't want to make time. What do you say to those pros in terms of the value in making time to get together with other pros when the opportunity arises?
Yeah, I mean, I think the people that are not finding ways to connect are a bit short-sighted as to, where they could be, where they're going to be. Look, there's no doubt I wouldn't be where I'm at and the things I've gotten to do had I not, looked at every time I could spend some time with somebody as an opportunity. Whether it was an opportunity to learn something, was an opportunity to kind of connect. It didn't always, it didn't have to benefit me, but maybe it benefited one of my players or our facility or the school, you know, and maybe sometimes it didn't benefit anything that I had, but what I was able to share benefited somebody else. I think if you can look at it like that, like, we're going to all be there to help each other out and set the education piece of to the side. That's the bonus of it. It's the connection with people. And I know the USTA wants to grow the numbers and they always want to grow the numbers of players, and everyone wants to grow their numbers of coaches and players and the industry. I mean, the easiest way to do that is just stay connected with people. I mean, the more we can help each other out, the more we can share our knowledge. You know, the better off we're all going to be, and it always comes back. Every time you give up a little bit, man, it just always comes back. It doesn't necessarily come back that week or that month, but it always comes back and helps you out. And so I think that's one of the things that pros, and we see them all the time. They don't want to be involved, or they want to stay in their little kingdom there. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot there if you don't you know uh extend a hand to either help or extend a hand because you need a little bit of something. But it's a very small uh, universe, the tennis world. Just kind of coming back about a month ago, I was speaking at the ITF World Conference in Lithuania, and the thing I took away from that experience, and there was over 600 coaches from 100 different countries sitting around talking shop with everybody. We're all facing the same thing that you and I are faced with here in the States. Everybody's kind of faced with the same thing, trying to grow their membership, keep people engaged. And whether you're hanging out with somebody from Kentucky or Alabama, or you're hanging out with somebody from the UK, we're all kind of in this boat together to grow tennis wherever we're at.
So part of your answer in avoiding burnout had to do with the connection piece. And let's say that a pro is watching this or listening to it, and they're now thinking, okay, they might attend more meetings or get-togethers with other pros for the connection part. Um,
Yeah,
but another piece that you mentioned is that some of the complaints you've heard from pros involve, or typically came from pros that were not experiencing a lot of variety in their job.
yeah.
So let's say that a pro is in that group. They're not getting there's not a ton of variety right now. How would you advise them to get started to kind of spice up what it is that they're doing at their club to create some of that variety?
I kind of feel like one of the easiest ways is if you don't want to go out, then invite somebody in, have a guest coach come in and teach with you one day. I absolutely love it when I can teach with somebody else. I mean, like being a part of the tennis congress for many years, when you go out there and you got two other coaches that you're working with that day to help a group of athletes, to me, that's fantastic. It's so I think finding ways to, bring stuff into your club or your facility as a guest coach or, an outside event, those type things, you know, burnout can happen before you realize it, and it comes in many different forms. And I think what happens is it's just you see the same thing over and over, and there's nothing that kind of gives you that jolt or makes you excited or think about things in a different light. Just finding those ways, and it doesn't have to be about going to a conference or a workshop. It could just be as simple as just trying something new. And I hear this from coaches all the time and pros. They say, well, what if it doesn't kind of go off, or what if I lose some money on this? And I'm like, well, you learn something then too. You'll be better down the road for that if you do crash and burn. If sometimes the best things come out of when you make a big mistake and you come up with a goose egg. You hit a home run the next time.
What are a couple of things you know now that you wish you would have known at the start of your career?
How much my body would hurt. Uh, if anyone has ever seen on my social media, I was that guy that was well over 300 pounds. And I did my job. I fed balls. I made the people at the club happy. And if I didn't known that I needed to stay a bit more physically fit and active, and it would help me be better down the road, I would have just been a bit smarter in my choices. We all make some pretty dumb choices sometimes with things that we consume or do, and I think that's one of the things I wish I'd have done earlier, and maybe my knees wouldn't hurt as bad now, but I'm going to get a new knee, so it's okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I just I enjoy the fact that we're sharing this information and connecting. I think that you know RSPA has been a just such an important piece to my career, which then in turn has given me a chance to hopefully be, impactful to other people. So, I just would encourage those that may be listening to, not only just join the organization, but be involved with the organization, and you know, giving back, taking what you need to do your job, but then also just sharing in the passion of tennis, I think is huge for all of us. And if we kind of approach it like that, then we're always going to have plenty of members and lessons and participants. So enjoy the process.
All right, Bill. Well, thank you again for your time today.
Yeah, Kevin, appreciate it, buddy, and thanks for having me on.